Hello, what's going on? Welcome to Heroes Cup TV. I am very excited to bring you a new segment brought through this year. The City of Marlborough has given us the opportunity to film and highlight some of the tournament that we can't really show you throughout the year. So we're going to be starting a new Heroes Cup TV series, and I'm very excited to bring this to you. So tune in throughout the next 8 weeks leading up to the tournament, as we're going to be looking to do a different segment every month, kind of highlighting some key features to the tournament as well as some really key parts to the tournament that you might not know a lot about. So with that being said, this is episode number 1, and I'm very excited about that. But for episode number 1, as our first guest, I'm actually very excited to introduce Brian Stevens. Brian is the founder of the Stevens Family Foundation, but he's also was one of the first supporters to the Heroes Cup back when we started, before we merged with the Bruins, before we grew, but he's also our largest donor. Brian every year goes over and above and beyond every year to help us ultimately make the Heroes Cup about the charities and about the teams they're raising while having a good time. So he gives us the opportunity to, when Officer Familia died in the line of duty as a Worcester Cop, Brian stepped up to match the funds. When we have a 50-50 pot going, Brian always says he'll match the funds. When we have anything we ever need, I know I could call Brian and say, Brian, we had a guy die in the line of duty, and we need some help, and Brian always is there. So when we first started, to give you everybody a little bit of background, when we first started the Heroes Cup was an idea that was driven because I was just looking to raise money, playing some hockey, and having some fun. Well, I got introduced to Brian, and Brian stepped up with a very large donation to us, and because of the largest donation to us, he became our Lord Stanley Cup. So for those of you who don't know, Lord Stanley Cup is kind of the unsung hero of the NHL, right? He gave them the seed and the startup they needed to get the NHL going, which is why every year now the most coveted trophy in all of the world is the Stanley Cup. So with that being said, for the Heroes Cup, we need our Lord Stanley. We need our unsung hero, and that is Brian. The reason everybody comes to Marlborough to play in the Heroes Cup is they are looking to win the Stevens Cup. So, Brian, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always supporting first responders. I really kind of want everybody to know a little bit more about you, because I think it's kind of cool story between what you do as a foundation, but more importantly, what you do in your daughter's name. So tell us a little about yourself, Brian.
First and foremost, I'd like to clear up. Everyone tries to make me the hero of this. It was my daughter. She's the World Ambassador for Down Syndrome, Samantha Marsha Stevens, that inspired us to do. She's almost 17 years old now. She still can't walk or talk. It's her form of Down syndrome, but she still inspires wherever we go. So, and another thing, making me the hero, almost every person that I've met since I can remember are all heroes in their own right. My beloved city of Marlborough. If people can't afford to donate, I see them donate their time daily. Everyone in Marlborough, the people of Marlborough are heroes to me. The people of our beloved state are heroes to me. And the ones that don't step up, usually it's because they can't, not because they won't. So I like to share the credit. I just feel like it's the right thing to do.
That's very cool. Very cool. So ultimately, so let's talk about your daughter. What the reason all this is. So tell us a little bit about Samantha in terms of why you feel that, in terms of what Samantha's condition is, but also in terms of the philanthropy work you do in her name, in her memory. So let's talk a little bit about her.
Bringing back the old stuff's going to probably make me get a little mushy, but Samantha was born in 2004, and when they did the ultrasound, they said, it looks like she's going to have Down syndrome. Would we like to cease the pregnancy? And we had never been like that. It's like when you're in a shop, if you break it, you own it. And we never had any thoughts on severe or not. And she is one of the most severe. She's very minimalized. The picture on the book, she's like 16 in that picture. She looks, I'm not being degrading, I'm explaining, she looks about 8 or 9 years old when you meet her, and you've met her.
Yeah.
But when you see her in person, she's diminished physically and mentally. She's always happy. She never has had an outburst. And she just inspires us. She's always happy, even though she can't do what all of us can do. She can inspire us to do millions and millions of dollars for handicap charities, 501c. And I'm proud to do it. I don't feel like a hero. I feel like everyone else is the hero for allowing me to do what I do. I've always loved the world. You know a little bit about my past story. I don't want to get too long-winded. But I was born with a very rare leg disease that I was told I would be crippled for life. And I was picked on a lot in my youth. Kids will be kids. I'm not calling anyone out. But I didn't have an easy half-life. No senior prom for me, no dating from like 16 on. I was a very late starter because a Dr. Petrie came out with a specialized cast that he thought would cure my leg ailment, that I might not be crippled for life. And sure enough, the Petrie cast for Calvé's leg perthes did cure me, and they told me it made my legs stronger than they would have been normally. So I got very lucky from going from someone that thought he was going to be unable to walk for his whole life to be able to run around like all the other people that I want to help that can't run around too. I get a little bit emotional about it. But it's always the right thing. When people say, oh, you're a hero for doing this, look at the firefighters and look at the policemen that risk their lives every day. I had a police officer tell me less than 2 weeks ago, hey, you keep calling me a hero. I'm pleased to meet you too. I hear about what you do. You're the hero. I go, when you joined the police force, when you're first thinking about joining, did it ever cross your mind that you could be injured or killed in the line of duty by a felon or a gun or a knife? He goes, of course. I go, you're the hero.
Yeah.
You guys you go into fires all the time, risking your lives. I'm lucky enough to be able to, people that have money like me that don't donate, that's who I really feel bad for. I don't feel mad at them. I feel bad that they're missing out on the parts of life, the joy that giving to others that have less.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
But luckily, most of the people that I know are like me and they want to help. They want to help 501c charities. Ever since I found out about it, I've been one. We've officially, the Stevens Family Foundation, soon to be /museum. We want to welcome the whole world in. I bought the original Spooky World in Berlin.
We'll talk about that. That's kind of cool.
But I just, I don't want to get too long-winded, but I'm proud to do what I do.
I'm very proud of the work you do in terms of the support, and I appreciate you supporting our fire, police, and military. Ultimately, you know, that's what the Heroes Cup was born on, right? Giving these guys the platform to raise the money for the charities and stuff that they're passionate about, whether it be a fallen officer or whether it be for the fire department who wants to support kids with cancer, whatever the foundation their needs as fire police, I want to support them.
To keep the heroes and their families healthy as possible.
Correct.
Happy as possible.
Correct. So that's kind of the foundation in terms of where we've been through. And one thing that I'm not sure how many people know, but over the course of the Heroes Cup, Brian, I was looking over things before this, and over the course of the Heroes Cup, you have donated over $300,000 to the Heroes Cup Foundation. That is absolutely amazing. So that's gone to people like Officer Familia, who's died in the line of duty. That's gone to paying our cancer support funds that we're doing. So some of the mental health, some of the PTSD funds we've initiated, some of the many of hundreds of charities we've supported throughout the years. So that charitable work you do goes, I can't even tell you how far it goes. It's kind of immeasurable for the work we do. So
it's well deserved for all the work that you heroes do. It really is. I'm not trying to be mushy. I've always believed that. I've always believed it.
Well, it's very appreciated. The book. Tell us about the book, Brian, because people see the book and
it's a good story because I hate to say it, I was against it at first because it seems very self-educating.
Yeah.
It makes me really look like a show-off when people look at the book. But I had a problem. I happened to be very wealthy, and I was kicked out of, I'm not going to name the town, but a local Mercedes dealership because they thought I was just spoofing them when I went in. I said during COVID I wanted to buy 5 SUVs for my friends and family and myself, and they started swearing at me in front of my kids, my family, my friends that were with me. My biographer was with me too. And in front of my young children, get out, we're calling the police. So I said, all right, I'll wait outside for the police. They called the police pulled up, and luckily that I do all these charities, I can't remember every single face that I meet because I meet so many police at these events. And they said, hey, Brian, What are you doing here? What's going on? And I felt proud at that moment that these heroes recognized me. But I explained, and they said, don't go to Mercedes then, go to BMW, which I did, and I did what I said. I bought 5 SUVs, they're top of the line, and Mercedes called me the next day. And I'm sorry if I'm getting long-winded on this, but it's because the book, the police, the governor, everyone that I've heard said, you have to have some kind of resume. So the people that see this book online or see my Facebook page with all the toys and all the cars, I have the largest watch collection on the planet, which has been confirmed by the Orloffs of San Francisco. It's the largest. One of my watches is almost $2 million. Not to show off, but to put in a museum to share with the world with all my exclusive cars. Our website is www.thestevensfamilyfoundation.org. It's all there, and people will go there and say, wow, is he showing off, until they get to the end of the book. It used to be the family in the beginning, and people would say, oh, my heart, well, I can't look anymore. But when I put the toys up front, they look through the whole book. So they get to know Samantha, they get to know the family, and I'm sharing this with the world. I'm not rubbing people's noses in it. I'm trying to enlighten the world while we're bringing those same families in that are looking at the cars. Hey, my daughter has cystic fibrosis. My mother has Alzheimer's. It's a foundation/museum. They'll be able to go up to our offices, and I can cut them a check proudly.
So we'll post a link and attach to our social feeds where people can check out the Family Foundation and
I think
refer.
they'll love it.
And they'll be able to see some of the stuff that's coming out of there, which, you've probably seen Brian driving around in some of his cars and at the events, and certainly at the Garden. We've had the Batmobiles at the Garden for the challenge. We've had a couple of your cars coming throughout the weekend at the Heroes Cup. So love having you around, having the support, and what you're doing I think is amazing. Now, to see this collection in person, there's actually going to be coming an opportunity for that, right, Brian?
Absolutely.
So,
that's where it's being worked on now. I don't have an exact date, but we're doing the best we can.
So for those of you who are from the area, or maybe, you probably even that word has grown quite a bit. People are familiar with Spooky World. Well, tell us about Spooky World, Brian. What Spooky World is going to be now?
David Bertolino created Spooky World many years ago, long before I was even going, but I did go when it was originally in Berlin, Massachusetts. When I found out it was up for sale, we call it the Spooky World Project, but it's actually our Stevens Family Foundation Museum Project. We call it that because it is the grounds of the original Spooky World. We're going to be in the movie, the documentary about Spooky World, because we're continuing the goodness and the charity that David did with Spooky World with our foundation on the same places. So goodness is going to come from when it was the original Spooky World and when it's our Stevens Family Foundation Museum. It's going to be open to the world, open to the public. We want to share and we want to help people.
That's what, 2 miles away from the rink or so?
Yeah,
Pretty
it's
close,
really
right?
close to the rink. Yeah, it's really
So
close to the rink. It's really close to Solomon Pond if you take the back road.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to do something once the museum's open. We'll have to do something for a first responder night or
I'm
something
in
at
talks
the
with people
museum.
that you wouldn't
that would
believe.
be fantastic. So, anyways, really cool stuff coming out of the Stevens Family Foundation. Ultimately, has been the biggest supporter to us. Brian, thank you for that. Thank you for the work you do in terms of keep it for your daughter. I think that's really kind of a cool story, what you do. And thanks for always stepping up. I know whenever a guy calls or line of duty death happens, unfortunately, it's become very quick where I've become one of the first phone calls when people need something. But, my first phone call is to Brian. Brian, we had someone get killed. We need some help. And I tell Brian the story, and you've always stepped up, and I appreciate that.
It's heartbreaking. I even told the Familia family when the kids, they were very young. It's very sad that how their father passed. But after we matched the donation, I told the family when they're old enough, when they get older and they're ready to go to school, their beloved father that was working hard and diligently to put them through school, since he was taken, they can come to us when they're older and we'll help them with their college too.
Unbelievable.
It just seems like the right thing to do. That guy gave his life for someone. Who am I to be any different than that? Give the heart and soul to heroes.
You're using your money to change the world for the better, and I
still get some nice toys.
Yeah, of course. Well, you got to live, right?
Everyone says, "Oh, you're doing all this." I have everything. With my wife and my kids, I have everything that I've ever dreamed about, and then some, things that I never thought that I would have. We've been very lucky. We've been very blessed, and instead of rubbing noses, we just make sure that the people that need us the most have us. That's all. That's
perfect. So, Brian, thanks for joining us today. This
honor.
was really, really kind of fun, and I'm really excited to kick off Heroes Cup TV with our biggest donor and our biggest supporter. I mean, I think it's naturally fitting. I encourage everybody throughout the weekend. You'll see Brian walking around. You'll see the cars. I encourage you to talk to Brian, figure out, learn about the stories, and what he's doing. Take a look at the book. Take a look at his website, which you'll see the links either in the comments or in the description on the pages posted. So certainly appreciate everybody tuning in once a month. I'm going to be giving tournament updates throughout. This is going to be a really good platform to really highlight the people that matter and the efforts that are what drives this tournament. So without further ado, that's Heroes Cup TV Series #1. Brian, thanks for being our first guest.
Thank you for having me.